In your opinion, who is the biggest psychopath of all time and why? Oscar de la Hoya, the guy managed to get fired from a concentration camp for mistreatment of prisoners. It is funny that people are listing known serial killers. These guys have such rookie numbers they wouldn't even get on the leaderboard. You want to talk about successful psychopaths? Look at the leaders of countries or corporations. Like Stalin, who had most of his senior generals executed in the middle of a world war because he was afraid that they would challenge his power, or Pol Pot, who ordered the killing of millions of his own people. I am sure that there is better examples, but think about the C-suite of Ford Motors that knew that there was a probability that the Pinto would explode due to a rear collision, but they calculated the cost of a redesign, and compared it to the possible number of fiery deaths and decided doing nothing was cheaper. Or the executives at Exxon who were told in the 1970s that the ongoing burning of fossil fuels would, within a century, render large areas of the Earth incapable of supporting human life. Rather than using their expertise, massive capital and the first mover advantage to make a rapid transition to renewable energy, they chose instead to spend $1 billion a year funding PR firms pushing climate change denial and lobbying governments to slow down action on climate change. Now that is some high-level psychopathic behavior. Or Union Carbide, where a leak at their Bhopal chemical factory killed and maimed thousands of people. Instead of dealing with the issue and compensating people, they used lawyers and the courts, and every nasty tool in the world to avoid responsibility. For decades. Or here in Australia, where the executives of the company producing asbestos products knew in the 1920s, warned by doctors employed by the company, that their workers were dying slow, horrible deaths from asbestosis. So they paid off the doctors to keep their mouths shut, bribed, and, if that didn't work, threatened workers who got sick, and when it finally made it to the court, used every tactic available to them to keep delaying trials in the knowledge that the people suing them would die before the case got to trial. Now those are psychopaths. Ed Kemper. He skullfucked his mother's severed head. Jim Jones ordered a mass murder-suicide that claimed the lives of 909 commune members, 304 of them children. Georgia Tann. She ran the Tennessee Children's Home Society and helped a lot of Hollywood stars adopt babies. In order to keep up with demand, she would train people to pose as nurses and they would steal newborns, telling the mothers their baby had died. She and her employees also used threats of legal action to procure children. They would go to nursery schools posing as welfare agents in order to kidnap children, and they would adopt out children who were only supposed to be in the children's home temporarily. While in her care, Tann mistreated her charges and there are reports of murder through neglect. She would use bribes to get away with it, but eventually the law caught up with her and the Children's Home Society was closed in 1950. She died of uterine cancer, the same year the home was closed. I sincerely hope she suffered.